Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be respected, admired, and seen as someone who has it all together. But let me tell you something. There is no success without struggle, and there is no growth without embarrassment. Think about it. What's the one thing people fear almost as much as failure? Being embarrassed. Nobody likes that feeling of being exposed, of making a mistake in front of others, of looking foolish. People will go to great lengths to avoid it. They'll hold back from speaking up in a meeting because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. They won't try something new because they don't want to look like a beginner. They'll stay in their comfort zones, playing it safe, because the thought of falling on their face in front of an audience is just too much to handle. But here's the truth. Embarrassment is just a sign that you're in motion. It means you're out there, trying, pushing, learning. The people who never get embarrassed, they're the ones who never take risks. They're the ones who never step outside of what they already know. And you can't grow like that. You can't build anything great without first going through a few moments that make you cringe. Think about the most successful people in the world. Every one of them has had moments where they stumbled, where they got it wrong, where they looked foolish in front of others, but they kept going. They didn't let embarrassment stop them because they understood that those moments weren't permanent. They were just part of the process. But most people don't see it that way. Most people experience embarrassment and let it define them. They let one awkward moment make them believe they're not good enough. One rejection convinces them they should never try again. One mistake convinces them they're not capable. And that's where they stay, stuck in that fear, avoiding risk, avoiding the possibility of ever feeling that way again. But let's take a step back for a second. Think about a time you were embarrassed. Maybe you said the wrong thing in a conversation. Maybe you tried something and failed in front of an audience. Maybe you made a mistake at work that everybody noticed. It probably felt like the worst thing in the world at the time, but let me ask you, does it still matter today? Probably not. And if it does, I guarantee it matters more to you than it does to anyone else. Because here's another truth. People aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. They're too busy worrying about their own mistakes, their own insecurities, their own embarrassing moment. That moment that felt like the end of the world to you, it was just a passing moment for everybody else. And if you can learn to move on from it, to own it, to laugh about it, and to keep going, you'll realize that embarrassment isn't nearly as powerful as people make it out to be. In fact, some of the best opportunities in life come from embracing those moments instead of running from them. The person who can acknowledge their mistakes, learn from it, and keep going with confidence, that's the person who stands out. That's the person who earns respect. That's the person who makes progress while everyone else is too busy worrying about looking foolish. So if you've been holding yourself back because you're afraid of embarrassment, let me tell you something. You're not protecting yourself, you're limiting yourself. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who learn to move past them. The ones who understand that embarrassment isn't the end of the road. It's just a stepping stone on the way to something greater. Now, let's talk about how you can take those moments that make you cringe and turn them into the moments that define your success. When people talk about success, they usually focus on the victories, the achievements, the accolades, the big moments where everything comes together. But what they don't talk about nearly as much are the failures, the mistakes, and most importantly, the embarrassing moments that happen along the way. If you look at any successful person, whether it's in business, sports, entertainment, or any other field, you'll find a long history of setbacks, rejections, and yes, moments of complete and utter embarrassment. That's because embarrassment is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of progress. It means you're putting yourself in situations where you have the opportunity to grow. And that is the key difference between those who succeed and those who don't. Think about this. If you never risk embarrassment, it means you're never stepping out of your comfort zone. you're never trying something new. You're never taking the kind of bold action that leads to meaningful results. And if that's the case, how can you expect to improve? How can you expect to get ahead if you're unwilling to go through the awkward, uncomfortable process that success requires? There's a reason why the most successful people in the world tend to have stories of rejection and failure. It's because they kept going, even when they stumbled. They didn't let embarrassment stop them. They understood that looking foolish for a moment was a small price to pay for long-term growth. The truth is, no matter how skilled, talented, or intelligent you are going to face moments that make you uncomfortable. You're going to get things wrong. You're going to say the wrong thing, make the wrong move, or miscalculate in a way that makes you feel exposed. That's part of the process. But the question is, what do you do next? Most people take embarrassment as a sign to retreat. They convince themselves they aren't good enough. They use that one moment as proof that they should never try again. But that's where they go wrong. Because the people who truly make it are the ones who take those moments, learn from them, and use them as fuel to keep going. Let's take public speaking as an example. A lot of people are terrified of speaking in front of an audience. Why? Because they're afraid of messing up. They're afraid of stumbling over their words, of forgetting what they were going to say, of looking foolish in front of a crowd. And that fear of embarrassment stops them from ever trying in the first place. But here's the thing, every great speaker started off nervous. Every great communicator had moments where they stumbled, where they got tongue-tied, where they said something that didn't come out quite right. But the reason they became great is that they kept doing it. They kept pushing past the uncomfortable moments. They kept learning, improving, and growing. And over time, those embarrassing early moments became nothing more than stepping stones to their success. The same is true in business. Entrepreneurs don't start out knowing exactly how to run a company. They make mistakes. They take risks that don't always pay off. They pitch ideas that get rejected. And sometimes they fail in ways that are public and painful. But the ones who go on to build great businesses are the ones who don't let those moments define them. There's a phrase you might have heard before, fail fast, fail forward. What that means is that every mistake, every misstep, every embarrassing moment is an opportunity to learn something valuable. And the faster you go through those experiences, the faster you'll get to where you want to be. But if you let embarrassment stop you, if you let one awkward moment make you believe you're not capable, then you're choosing to stay where you are. You're choosing to hold yourself back. And the irony is that in trying to avoid embarrassment, you're actually preventing yourself from achieving the very success you're after. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. You have to be willing to look foolish before you can look great. You have to be willing to mess up before you can master something. You have to understand that success and embarrassment go hand in hand. Because the only way to get better at anything is to go through the awkward phase first. If you're not willing to risk looking foolish, then you're not really willing to succeed. Because success is built on resilience. It's built on the ability to take those uncomfortable moments, learn from them, and keep pushing forward. So the next time you find yourself in an embarrassing situation, don't let it stop you. Don't let it shake your confidence. Instead, recognize it for what it is, a moment of growth. A moment that, if you handle it the right way, will bring you one step closer to your goals. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about never making mistakes. It's about how you respond when those mistakes happen. It's about whether you let them define you or whether you use them as fuel to keep moving forward. And the people who win in life, they're the ones who embrace those moments, learn from them, and keep going no matter what. One of the biggest obstacles standing between people and success is not a lack of talent, intelligence, or opportunity. It's fear. Specifically, the fear of embarrassment. It's that little voice in your head that says, what if I mess up? What if people laugh at me? What if I fail in front of everyone? That fear stops people before they even start. It makes them hesitate, second guess themselves, and play it safe when they should be taking bold steps forward. It keeps them from speaking up in meetings, pursuing their dreams, or even trying something new. They convince themselves that avoiding embarrassment is the same as avoiding failure. But in reality, the fear of embarrassment is one of the biggest causes of failure because it keeps people from ever trying in the first place. Let's break this down. What actually happens when you get embarrassed? You make a mistake, people notice, and for a moment you feel exposed. Maybe you turn red, maybe your heart beats faster, maybe you want to disappear. But then what? Nothing. Life goes on. People move on. The world doesn't stop. But in our minds, embarrassment feels much bigger than it actually is. We replay the moment over and over, thinking everyone else is doing the same. But the truth is, most people are too busy with their own lives to dwell on your mistakes. That thing you're still stressing over weeks later, most people forgot about it in 5 minutes. And yet, because we fear that temporary discomfort, we hold ourselves back. We don't apply for the promotion because we're afraid of being rejected. We don't start the business because we're afraid of failing. We don't speak up because we're afraid we'll say the wrong thing. In trying to protect ourselves from embarrassment, we end up blocking ourselves from growth. But here's the irony. The people who succeed the most are the ones who have been embarrassed the most. They've failed in front of others. They've made mistakes. They've had moments where they look completely foolish, but they kept going. Think about it. The best athletes, they've lost in front of millions. The best entrepreneurs, they've launched businesses that failed spectacularly. The best entertainers, they've bombed in front of an audience. The difference between them and most people is that they didn't let those moments define them. What if I told you that embracing embarrassment is actually a shortcut to success? If you can stop fearing embarrassment, you'll move faster. You'll be willing to try things that others are too scared to attempt. You'll take action instead of waiting for the perfect moment, and because of that, you'll learn and grow faster than the people who spend their lives playing it safe. Let's take public speaking again as an example. Imagine 2 people. The first person is terrified of making mistakes. They overthink every word, avoid eye contact, and play it so safe that their speech is boring and forgettable. The second person isn't afraid to make mistakes. They speak with energy, they engage with the audience, and even if they stumble, they keep going. Who do you think the audience will connect with more? The second person. Because confidence isn't about perfection. It's about being comfortable with imperfection. And the only way to develop that comfort is by facing embarrassment instead of avoiding it. The same principle applies in business, relationships, and personal growth. The more willing you are to take risks and face the possibility of embarrassment, the more opportunities you'll create for yourself. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually overcome the fear of embarrassment? 1, reframe how you see it. Instead of seeing embarrassment as something to avoid, start seeing it as proof that you're growing. If you never feel embarrassed, it means you're not pushing yourself hard enough. 2, laugh at yourself. People who can laugh at themselves are some of the most confident people in the world. When you stop taking your mistakes so seriously, you take away their power over you. 3, ask yourself, will this matter in a year? Most embarrassing moments are temporary. If something won't matter a year from now, don't let it hold you back today. 4, keep moving. The worst thing you can do after an embarrassing moment is stop. If you stumble, recover quickly and keep going. The faster you move past it, the faster everyone else will too. 5, put yourself in more situations that challenge you. The more you face embarrassment, the less power it has over you. Speak up in meetings, try new things, step outside your comfort zone. Over time, what once felt terrifying will start to feel normal. At the end of the day, the choice is simple. You can let the fear of embarrassment control you, keep you small, and prevent you from ever reaching your full potential, or you can embrace it, learn from it, and use it as a tool to grow. Because the truth is, the people who win in life are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall, get back up, and keep moving forward, no matter what. When you think about the journey to success, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Most people would say it's about achieving big goals, hitting milestones, or earning recognition. But what if I told you that the real path to success is not just about the wins, but about the rejections? You see, in life, we often think of rejection as something to fear, something to avoid at all costs. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, and it feels like a personal failure. But what if rejection wasn't the enemy? What if it was actually your greatest ally on the road to success? Let's be real for a moment. Everyone gets rejected. Whether it's a job interview that didn't go well, a business proposal that gets turned down, or an opportunity that slips through your fingers. Rejection is part of the game. But what separates those who thrive from those who struggle is how they respond to it. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It doesn't mean you're not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. It's simply a part of the process, a stepping stone that leads to growth and eventually to success. If you look at the stories of some of the world's most successful people, you'll find that rejection is woven into the fabric of their journey. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the company he created. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for television. And these are just a few examples. The question is, what did they do after they were rejected? Did they give up? Did they let the rejection define them? Absolutely not. They used that rejection as motivation, as a lesson, and as a stepping stone to something even greater. They kept moving forward, the power of rejection. Rejection is not the end, it's the beginning. It forces you to learn, to adapt, and to become better. Every time you face rejection, it's an opportunity to ask yourself, what can I improve? How can I come back stronger? What can I learn from this experience? One of the most valuable things rejection teaches you is resilience. It builds your mental toughness and helps you develop a mindset that doesn't give up easily. If you allow rejection to define you, then you'll always be stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. But if you view rejection as a challenge, something to overcome, then it becomes fuel for your fire. Let's take a moment to think about what rejection really is. It's feedback. When someone tells you no or a door is closed in your face, it's an opportunity to reflect on your approach and refine it. It's not a reflection of your abilities, but rather a chance to rethink your strategy. Every no you receive is a stepping stone closer to that one yes that will change your life. Why do we fear rejection so much? The fear of rejection is deeply rooted in our desire for acceptance. As humans, we want to be liked, respected, and validated. Rejection feels like a blow to our ego, and it can trigger feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. But here's the thing. The more we fear rejection, the more we avoid the things that could lead to success. And when we avoid taking risks, we miss out on the opportunities that are essential for growth. What's ironic is that the more we try to avoid rejection, the more it controls us. We start second-guessing ourselves. We hold back our ideas. We stop pursuing what we really want because we're so afraid of the no. But no is just a part of the process. It's not a permanent verdict. It's simply a signal that you need to adjust and keep pushing forward. When you stop fearing rejection, you begin to take action. You speak up in meetings. You pitch your ideas. You put yourself out there. And when you do that, you increase your chances of success exponentially. Every no gets you closer to the right yes, turning rejection into opportunity. So how do we transform rejection into an opportunity? Don't take it personally. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a no to a particular idea, product, or proposal at a particular time. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. Separate yourself from the rejection. Learn from it and move forward. Embrace the learning process. Rejection is a chance to improve. Ask for feedback. Be open to criticism and use it to refine your approach. This is how you grow and evolve. Rejection is not a dead end. It's a redirection. Develop a growth mindset. People who succeed are those who see failure and rejection as part of the journey. When you develop a growth mindset, you start to see each rejection as an opportunity to learn something new, to become stronger, and to come back with a better approach. Keep pushing forward. The key to overcoming rejection is persistence. Every successful person has faced rejection at some point, but what sets them apart is that they kept going. They didn't quit when they faced their first rejection or their 100th rejection. They kept pushing forward, learning and refining their approach until they got the result they were looking for. Use rejection as fuel. Instead of letting rejection hold you back, use it as fuel to drive you forward. Every time someone tells you no, let that be the motivation you need to work harder, be better, and keep striving for what you want. Remember, rejection isn't the end. It's the spark that can light the fire of determination within you. Conclusion, rejection is part of the journey. Rejection is not a sign that you're not meant for success. It's actually the gateway to it. The most successful people in the world have faced rejection, but they didn't let it define them. They used it as a stepping stone to something greater. The question is, how are you going to respond when you face rejection? Will you let it stop you, or will you use it to fuel your drive and determination? Remember, every no is simply a part of the journey. Keep going, keep learning, keep growing, and eventually that one yes will come along with the success. Fear is something that holds so many people back. It's the invisible barrier that stops people from reaching their true potential. And one of the most common fears that people face is the fear of failure. It's that voice in your head that says, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not good enough? It keeps people from taking risks, from trying new things, from pushing themselves beyond their limits. But what if I told you that failure isn't something to fear? What if I told you that failure could actually be one of the most powerful tools for success? Failure is often seen as the opposite of success, but the truth is failure is a critical part of success. If you look at the most successful people in the world, you'll find one thing in common. They all failed multiple times before they succeeded. The only difference is that they didn't let those failures stop them. Instead, they used them as stepping stones on their way to greatness. Why do we fear failure? Before we can conquer the fear of failure, we need to understand why we fear it so much. For many, failure feels like the end of the road. It's a blow to our ego, our self-esteem, and our sense of worth. We worry that failing will make us look weak, incompetent, or unworthy. We fear the judgment of others, the embarrassment of falling short, or the feeling of disappointment in ourselves. But here's the truth. Failure is not the end. It's simply a lesson. It's not a reflection of who you are or what you're capable of. Failure is a part of life. It's a natural part of the learning process. In fact, the only real failure is not trying at all. If you're not failing, it means you're not taking risks. And if you're not taking risks, you're not growing. When you're afraid of failure, you're really afraid of making mistakes, of looking foolish, of not measuring up to your own or others' expectations. But what if instead of fearing those things, you embraced them as part of the process? What if you started to see failure as feedback, not something to run from, but something to learn from? The importance of failing forward. When you fail, you don't have to let it keep you down. Instead of dwelling on the negative emotions associated with failure, you can use it as a stepping stone to move forward. This concept is often referred to as failing forward. Failing forward means that you don't let failure define you. You don't let it stop you from pursuing your goals. Instead, you use failure as an opportunity to learn, grow, and refine your approach. Think of every failure as a lesson that gets you one step closer to success. For example, Thomas Edison is known for inventing the light bulb, but what many people don't know is that he failed thousands of times before he got it right. In fact, when asked about his many failures, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,0,0,0,0 ways that won't work." Edison didn't let failure stop him. He didn't see his mistakes as permanent roadblocks. He saw them as opportunities to improve and to get closer to the solution. That's the mindset of someone who is truly successful. They fail, they learn, and they keep moving forward. Turning failure into fuel. One of the best ways to overcome the fear of failure is to turn failure into fuel. Instead of letting it hold you back, use it to drive you forward. When you experience a setback or make a mistake, take a moment to reflect on what went wrong, what you can learn from the situation, and how you can apply those lessons in the future. Failure is an opportunity for growth. It forces you to reassess your strategy, to refine your skills, and to adapt to the challenges you face. But if you let failure defeat you, you miss out on the chance to improve and to get better. Every failure you experience is a chance to learn something new. It's an opportunity to build resilience, to become stronger, and to develop the mindset of someone who doesn't give up when things get tough. And that mindset is what ultimately leads to success. Changing your perspective on failure. To truly overcome the fear of failure, you need to change the way you view failure. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, start seeing it as part of the process. Every successful person you admire has failed at some point. They've experienced setbacks, rejections, and moments of doubt. But they kept going. They didn't let failure stop them, and neither should you. Here are a few ways to change your perspective on failure. Embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. When you make a mistake or fail, don't see it as a reflection of your abilities. See it as a learning experience. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? The more you can embrace mistakes, the more you will grow. Focus on the process, not just the outcome. Success isn't just about the end result, it's about the journey. If you focus too much on the outcome and fear failure, you'll miss the opportunity to enjoy the process of learning, growing, and evolving. Celebrate small wins. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Celebrate the progress you make, even if it doesn't lead to immediate success. Every small win is one more step toward achieving your bigger goals. Understand that failure is temporary. Failure doesn't last forever. It's just a phase in the process. It may be uncomfortable, but it's temporary. What matters is what you do after the failure. Will you give up, or will you get back up and keep going? Conclusion: fail, learn, and keep going. The fear of failure is something we all face, but it's not something that should hold us back. Failure is not the end, it's just a part of the journey. If you want to achieve great things, you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to try, to stumble, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. The only way to truly fail is to stop trying. If you keep going, if you keep learning, and if you keep moving forward, then failure will never be the end of your story. It will be the beginning of your next chapter. So the next time you face a setback or make a mistake, remember, fail, learn, and keep going. The only way to succeed is to embrace failure, use it as a stepping stone, and never stop pushing forward. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to leave you with something that I believe is the most important lesson you can take with you. Success is not about avoiding failure or rejection. It's about persistence. It's about believing in yourself even when the odds are stacked against you. The path to greatness is not an easy one. There will be obstacles. There will be moments when it feels like the world is telling you to quit. There will be times when it feels like nothing is going right, and every step forward is met with resistance. But I need you to understand one thing. Success is not reserved for the lucky few. It's for the persistent. What separates those who make it from those who don't is the ability to keep going when everything seems impossible. It's the courage to get back up after you've fallen. It's the strength to push through when you feel like giving up. And it's the unwavering belief in yourself and your purpose that will keep you moving forward, even when the path is unclear. The strength of persistence. If you take anything from this talk, let it be this. Persistence is everything. It's not about being perfect or never making mistakes or avoiding rejection. It's about showing up every single day and doing the work. It's about taking one more step, even when it feels like you've reached your limit. When you think about the most successful people in the world, you'll notice one thing they all have in common. They didn't quit. They didn't give up when they faced rejection. They didn't stop when they failed. They didn't let the fear of failure or the sting of rejection stop them from pursuing their dreams. They kept going. So the question you need to ask yourself is, when faced with failure, rejection, or challenges, will you keep going? Will you persist? That is the true test of your character. Your belief in yourself is your greatest asset. It's easy to get discouraged, especially when the road is tough. But the one thing that can never be taken from you is your belief in yourself. Belief in yourself is the most powerful tool you have on your journey to success. When you believe in your own potential, when you believe in your purpose, you unlock an inner strength that can carry you through the toughest of times. But here's the thing. Belief in yourself doesn't just come naturally. It's something you have to cultivate. It's something you have to reinforce every single day. You do that by taking action, by proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you think. You do that by celebrating your wins, no matter how small they seem. And you do that by learning from your mistakes and using them as fuel to get better. Believe in yourself, even when others don't. Trust in your abilities, even when it seems like the world is doubting you. Because in the end, your belief in yourself will be the driving force that keeps you moving forward when others tell you to stop. The power of persistence and resilience. Success is not a straight line. It's a series of ups and downs, twists and turns, wins and losses. But it's your persistence and resilience that will carry you through. When you face challenges, when you encounter setbacks, remember that they are not permanent roadblocks. They are simply opportunities to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. Every time you pick yourself up after a setback, every time you dust yourself off and keep going, you become more resilient, you develop mental toughness, you grow in strength and character, and eventually those obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become nothing more than small bumps in the road. But you'll only experience that growth if you keep going. Persistence is not just about keeping your head down and pushing through. It's about learning from your experiences and using them to evolve. You have what it takes. I need you to understand something fundamental. You have everything you need to succeed already inside of you. All the tools, all the strength, all the courage, and all the potential you need are within you. The key is not finding these things. They are already there. The key is unlocking them. It's about embracing your fears, facing rejection head on, and continuing to believe in yourself when it feels like the world is telling you to stop. It's about knowing that every rejection, every failure, every setback is simply a step closer to success. You have the power to overcome anything. You have the ability to achieve your dreams, but only if you don't quit. The final push. The road to success is not easy, and it's not always quick. But if you are willing to keep going, if you are willing to push through when things get tough, you will succeed. It's not a question of if you will succeed, it's a question of when. So I challenge you, keep going. When the going gets tough, when you feel like quitting, when you think you can't take another step, keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps may seem. Because every step you take, no matter how small, gets you closer to where you want to be. And when you reach that place, the place where you've achieved your goals, the place where you've made it despite all the setbacks, the place where you've proven to yourself that anything is possible, you will look back and realize that the journey was worth every moment of struggle. Persistence is power. Belief in yourself is the key. And the only way to fail is to stop trying. So don't stop. Keep going. Your success is waiting for you just around the corner.